often ask ourselves, how do I take this one idea I have to, like, say, X million people, 10, 20, whatever that is. But we rarely actually stop to ask ourselves, what is the leanest thing I can do in the most compelling way that can actually enable many more people to sort of solve that problem or to sort of engage with it. And for me, this is actually, it might seem like a nuance, like a slightly different way of asking the same question, but I think it fundamentally and radically shifts how you approach a problem, what you determine to be your role, and what you go about to do. And societal platform for me in that sense sort of reflects at three levels, right? Like one is it's a different mindset that is needed because it first requires me to have an assumption in my head that I'm not the only person who actually wants to solve this problem. You have to somewhere believe that, this is something that bothers several more people out there. And there are many more people who'd like to be a part of that journey and contributing in whatever way and shape they can in taking the solution, adapting it, growing it, evolving it. So I think the first is it's a shift in mindset. Then, of course, it's a thinking, okay, now that I have this mindset, how do I think about these problems differently? And what do I think about my role? How do I go about it? And for me, that comes often in, at least my experience with societal platform, the different questions I have been forced to ask. So if I was asking myself, oh, what is the solution that I should be like focusing on? Like, say in our context, like we were looking at digitization, we were looking at X solution versus Y. And the question that was instead forced to me is like, what is the interaction you really care about? What is the most important interaction between people? And, that forces you to arrive at it, think of the problem slightly differently. So I think for me, it has been a set of very, very different questions that I have had to ask myself that, pushes me from this kind of very linear, matter of fact way of thinking, like, okay, here's something I build and then I do it more linearly, I do more of it and it grows. So I think it's a different set of questions that I've been forced to ask myself. And I think the third is then automatically it becomes a way of doing things differently, right? Because you can't achieve new things, you can't apply new thinking with old ways of doing. And societal platform to me also therefore means a fundamentally different way of working. It requires you to think about your work, your role, etc. differently. And so it's, I think, a sum of all those three things, but I would say the spirit underlying all of it feels to me about asking yourself, what is the power of technology, especially, and digital infrastructure in that sense to enable more solution creators with you. And that's very exciting to think